Have you ever pondered the intriguing question, why are Swiss banks frequently linked to black money? The answer to this intriguing query is not only fascinating, but also complicated. The Swiss banking system, famous for its discretion and unshakable stability, boasts a rich and somewhat contentious history. The magnetism of these banks lies in their age-old tradition of safeguarding client information, a practice that has drawn funds of ambiguous origins over centuries. The appeal, however, all hush-hush. Swiss banks have earned a reputation for their financial prowess and superior services, securing their place as a favorite amongst the globe's wealthiest individuals. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vision Vibes. And today we're diving into the fascinating world of why Swiss bank is very famous. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, you're in the right place to learn something new and exciting. But let's wind the clock back a bit. Switzerland, known for its neutrality, became a haven for war-torn Europe's wealth during the World Wars, the secrecy and stability of its banks providing a refuge for assets. This historical played a significant role in shaping the reputation Swiss banks enjoy today. In the modern era, their association with black money is not a simple, linear correlation. It's a complex interplay of various elements, from the bank's ingrained policies of discretion international laws that govern global finance. Policies crafted within the hallowed halls of these banks, coupled with Switzerland's laws, have often provided the perfect cloak for hiding unaccounted wealth. Further, geopolitical events, from economic downturns to political unrest, have also steered black money towards the Swiss banking system. So prepare yourself as we embark on a journey to untangle the enigmatic world of Swiss banking, a world where secrecy is a tradition and where wealth, irrespective of its color, finds a welcome home. Our story begins in the midst of World War II, a time when global chaos reigned supreme. This was a period of unbridled uncertainty, where the future seemed as unpredictable as the path of a falling leaf on a windy day. As the world was enmeshed in conflict, there stood a country in the heart of Europe, maintaining its neutrality: Switzerland. This was not the first time Switzerland had chosen to remain neutral during a major global conflict. The country's policy of neutrality, in fact, dates back to the Franco-Prussian War of the late 19th century. But it was during World War II that its neutrality took on a whole new significance. In the midst of the war, Switzerland became a safe haven for assets. This was largely due to two factors. Firstly, the country's neutrality meant that it was less likely to be drawn into the conflict, and thus, less likely to have its banks and financial institutions targeted or disrupted. Secondly, Switzerland had strong banking secrecy laws. These laws made it almost impossible for outsiders, including foreign governments, to access information about bank accounts held in Switzerland. This combination of neutrality and banking secrecy made Switzerland an attractive destination for wealthy individuals and entities looking to protect their assets. Money flowed into Swiss banks from all corners of the world. From the wealth of European aristocrats trying to protect their fortunes from the ravages of war to the ill-gotten gains of corrupt officials and businessmen, Swiss banks became the custodians of a vast amount of wealth. And so, Switzerland's banking industry thrived. Its banks became synonymous with secrecy, security, and discretion. They became the go-to destination for those seeking to protect their wealth, whether that wealth was obtained legally or otherwise. Thus, the roots of Swiss banks and their association with hidden wealth were firmly planted. This historical context laid the foundation for Switzerland's reputation as a haven for what is often referred to as black money, a reputation that continues to persist even today. But how did this banking secrecy come to be? It all began with the Swiss banking law of 1934, which made disclosing a client's identity a criminal offense. This law was enacted during a time of economic instability, with the world still reeling from the Great Depression. Switzerland, like many other countries, was grappling with the effects of this economic downturn. There was a pressing need to stabilize the economy and attract foreign capital. Hence, the Swiss government decided to strengthen banking secrecy, making it a cornerstone of their banking system. The law was a bold move, but it paid off handsomely. As soon as it was enacted, there was a surge in foreign deposits. Money poured in from all corners of the world, drawn by the promise of anonymity and security. The law had another unforeseen effect. It solidified Switzerland's reputation as a banking haven. The Swiss banks, with their promise of secrecy and stability, became a beacon for the world's wealthy. They were seen as a safe place to park money, away from the turmoil and uncertainty of the outside world. Thus, The Swiss banking law of 1934 was a game changer, setting the stage for the Swiss banking industry as we know it today. Let's take a closer look at the Swiss banking law of 1934. This piece of legislation, born out of economic instability, had far-reaching consequences that are still felt today. The world was still nursing its wounds from the Great Depression, and economies worldwide were struggling to regain their footing. Switzerland was no exception. Faced with economic uncertainty, the Swiss government made a bold decision. They enacted a law that would make disclosing a client's identity a criminal offense. The Swiss banking law of 1934 was born. This law, known for its stringent privacy clauses, was more than just a piece of legislation. It was a promise of security and discretion, a beacon of hope for those seeking a safe haven for their wealth. As soon as it was enacted, the law had an immediate impact. Money started pouring into Swiss banks from all corners of the world. Investors, attracted by the promise of anonymity and security, flocked to Switzerland to park their wealth. The Swiss economy, previously grappling with the aftermath of the Great Depression, began to stabilize. The banking industry, in particular, experienced a massive boom. The Swiss banking law of 1934 was more than just a law. It was a catalyst that transformed the Swiss banking industry. It set the stage for the Swiss bank's reputation as a safe haven, a reputation that has endured to this day. Following the enactment of the Swiss banking law of 1934, the landscape of global finance was irrevocably altered. The law, which promised guaranteed anonymity, attracted a massive influx of foreign capital into Switzerland. Money from every corner of the globe started pouring into Swiss banks, transforming this small alpine nation into a global financial hub. It was as if a magnet had been placed in the heart of Europe, drawing in wealth from all directions. Swiss banks, with their promise of discretion and security, became the preferred choice for investors worldwide. However, this law also had some unintended consequences. The veil of secrecy it provided became a fertile ground for illicit activities. It facilitated tax evasion, as individuals who didn't want their wealth scrutinized found a safe haven in Swiss banks. Money launderers too found refuge in the promise of anonymity, using Swiss banks as a means to clean their ill-gotten gains. The law, which was intended to protect the privacy of bank clients, inadvertently became a tool for those with less than honorable intentions. In essence, the Swiss banking law of 1934 was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brought prosperity to Switzerland, transforming it into a global financial powerhouse. On the other hand, it also brought controversy, as the law's stringent privacy clauses became a shield for those wishing to evade taxes or launder money. The impact of this law was far-reaching, shaping not just the Swiss banking industry, but the world of finance as we know it today. Following the Swiss banking law of 1934, Switzerland saw an unprecedented influx of foreign capital. This wave of wealth not only boosted the Swiss economy, but also established the country as a financial powerhouse on the global stage. The law's promise of guaranteed anonymity was akin to a beacon, attracting investors from far and wide. The surge in foreign investment led to significant economic growth, transforming the small alpine nation into a hub of global finance. The legislation also had a ripple effect on the world economy. Countries around the globe had to grapple with the implications of this new banking haven. Many saw a drain of capital as investors, lured by the promise of discretion and security, transferred their wealth to Swiss banks. This shift in global capital dynamics had far-reaching implications, reshaping the financial landscape in ways that are still evident today. The Swiss banking law also led to a boom in the banking sector within Switzerland. The number of banks in the country skyrocketed as more and more institutions sprang up to take advantage of the lucrative opportunities presented by the law. This surge in banks not only bolstered the Swiss financial sector but also solidified the country's reputation as a banking superpower. In summary, the Swiss banking law of 1934 was a watershed moment in the history of global finance. It set Switzerland on a trajectory that would cement its position as a global banking hub, while also causing ripples that would reshape the world economy. The law's impact was far-reaching and profound, underscoring the power of legislation to alter the course of economic history. Now that we've understood the initial economic impact of the Swiss banking law of 1934, let's delve deeper into the economic boom that followed this law. The influx of foreign capital not only boosted the Swiss economy, but also led to a surge in the value of the Swiss franc. This strengthened the country's financial stability, paving the way for a prosperous future. The growth of the banking sector also had a significant impact on the Swiss job market. The rise of new banks meant more jobs, leading to a decline in unemployment rates and an increase in overall prosperity. This wealth wasn't confined to the banks or the financial sector alone, it trickled down to various aspects of Swiss life, leading to advancements in infrastructure and public services. The wealth accumulated in the banks funded the development of roads, schools, hospitals, and other public services, thereby enhancing the quality of life for the Swiss population. In essence, the economic boom following the Swiss banking law of 1934 had far-reaching effects, transforming Switzerland into one of the world's wealthiest nations. It wasn't just an economic revolution, it was a societal transformation that set the stage for the prosperity that Switzerland enjoys today. Let's take a closer look at the economic boom that followed the Swiss banking law of 1934. The growth of the Swiss banking sector was monumental. The sector, fueled by foreign capital, expanded at an unprecedented rate. Banks sprouted up across the country, creating jobs and injecting wealth into the economy. This growth didn't just benefit the banks themselves, it had a ripple effect on the entire Swiss economy. The rise in the value of the Swiss franc, fueled by the influx of foreign capital, made Switzerland a powerhouse in international trade. The strong franc gave Swiss companies an edge, allowing them to import goods at lower costs and boosting their competitiveness in the global market. But the economic boom wasn't just about banking and international trade, it was about a transformation that touched every aspect of Swiss life. The wealth accumulated in the banks trickled down into society, leading to advancements in infrastructure and public services. The quality of life for the Swiss population improved dramatically. Roads were built, schools were established, hospitals were upgraded. The economic boom following the Swiss banking law of 1934 had far-reaching effects, transforming Switzerland into not just one of the world's wealthiest nations, but also one of the best places to live. The economic boom was not just about numbers and growth rates, it was about a transformation that made Switzerland a beacon of prosperity and quality of life. It was about the creation of a society that values stability, prosperity, and the well-being of its people. Stay tuned as we delve into the allure of secrecy in the next segment. Let's delve deeper into the economic boom that followed the Swiss banking law of 1934. The growth of the Swiss banking sector was not just monumental, it was unprecedented. The banking sector, fueled by foreign capital, expanded at a rate that was unheard of. Banks mushroomed across the country, creating jobs and injecting wealth into the economy. This growth was not confined to the banks. It spread across the Swiss economy, creating a ripple effect that touched every sector. The rise in the value of the Swiss franc did not merely boost international trade. It transformed Switzerland into a global trading powerhouse. The strong franc gave Swiss companies a competitive edge. It allowed them to import goods at lower costs, boosting their competitiveness in the global market. But the economic boom was not confined to the realms of banking and trade. The transformation in Swiss society was profound. The wealth accumulated in the banks trickled down into society, leading to advancements in infrastructure and public services. Roads were built, schools were established, hospitals were upgraded. The quality of life for the Swiss population improved dramatically. The economic boom following the Swiss banking law of 1934 had far-reaching effects, transforming Switzerland into not just one of the world's wealthiest nations, but also one of the best places to live. The economic boom was not just about numbers and growth rates, it was about a transformation that made Switzerland what it is today, a beacon of prosperity and quality of life. The Swiss miracle, as it came to be known, was a testament to the power of economic policy and the resilience of the Swiss people. It was a story of how a small, landlocked country transformed itself into one of the world's most prosperous nations. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the allure of secrecy in our next segment. Scene 3. The allure of secrecy. But what makes Swiss banks so attractive to those with something to hide? It all starts with Switzerland's rigid privacy laws. Picture a fortress, tall and impregnable, safeguarding everything within its walls. These are what these laws represent for account holders. They are designed to shield personal information meticulously, only revealing it under exceptionally grave circumstances. The allure of being able to keep their financial affairs confidential is a significant pull for people desiring to stay inconspicuous. It's like a protective cloak, shielding them from prying eyes and questions. These privacy laws are the bait that makes Swiss banks a sanctuary for those who prioritize discretion above everything else. Next, let us discuss numbered accounts. These are a unique form of bank account where the identity of the holder is replaced with a sort of code. Consider it as a secret identity, akin to a superhero's, but for your bank account. This code is known only to a select few within the bank, adding another riddle and of protection. While the concept of numbered accounts is not Swiss Bank's monopoly, they have certainly mastered the craft. It's like having a secret handshake, a password that only you and the bank are privy to. This provides an additional layer of security and anonymity, making Swiss banks even more desirable to those with illicit funds. So what's the magnetic pull of Swiss banks? It's their guarantee of secrecy and protection that reels people in. It's the assurance that your secrets will remain undisclosed, your funds will be safeguarded from the outside world's examination. It's the comfort of knowing that your financial affairs will be managed with the highest discretion, and Swiss banks offer a haven, a sanctuary for those in need. They provide an escape from public scrutiny, a place where financial transactions can transpire without the fear of exposure or judgment. Fundamentally, the charm of Swiss banks lies in the promise of anonymity and safety. Scene 4. The black money connection. You might wonder, how exactly does this connect to black money? Let's delve deeper and explore. Black money isn't about the color of the bills. It refers to funds obtained through illegal means and not declared for tax purposes. This could be through corrupt activities, smuggling, and other nefarious deeds. Essentially, it's money that operates covertly, evading the prying eyes of tax investigators and law enforcement agencies. Now consider being an individual with a sizable amount of this black money. Simply depositing it in your local bank could attract unwanted attention. You require a location where your fortunes can be safely tucked away, free from scrutiny. Enter the world of Swiss banks. Swiss banks have long been associated with discretion and clandestinity. The Swiss banking legislation of 1934 made it unlawful for Swiss banks to disclose the identity of their account owners. This law, combined with Switzerland's historic policy of neutrality, formed an ideal scenario for those needing to conceal their wealth. These people organizations, with their dishonestly acquired assets, are drawn to Swiss banks due to their promise of confidentiality, making them appealing depositories for black money. Swiss banks refrain from prying. Your wealth, regardless of its source, is welcomed and safeguarded. Yet it's not merely about concealment. Swiss banks also provide a sturdy and well-regulated banking infrastructure. This stability is vital for those with substantial wealth, as it guards their money against economic volatility and political instability. Additionally, Swiss banks offer a myriad of financial services, including wealth management and investment opportunities. These services enable those with black money to not only preserve their wealth but also amplify it, further continuing the cycle of unlawful wealth accumulation and storage. Hence, Swiss banks, with their pledge of privacy, transform into a sanctuary for black money. A sanctuary where the shadows of illegal activities can rest with ease, and where the law's grasp struggles to extend. Scene 5. The changing landscape. However, the world of Swiss banking isn't as it once was. The landscape is changing, transforming like a chameleon to adapt to the new world order. And this change, my friends, is largely driven mounting global pressure. Over the past decade, Swiss banking laws have undergone significant revisions. The once sacrosanct principle of secrecy, the very foundation upon which the Swiss banking system was built, is no longer as absolute. The hushed whispers and clandestine transactions that were once the hallmarks of Swiss banks are now being replaced by a more transparent approach. Why this shift, you ask? Well, it's a domino effect of sorts. International bodies, such as the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or the OECD, have been pushing for more transparency in global banking. They argue that secrecy facilitates corruption, tax evasion, and other illicit activities. In response to this pressure, Switzerland has agreed to share financial data with other countries. This is a monumental step, marking a significant departure from their centuries-old tradition of banking secrecy. But what does this mean for the black money stashed away in Swiss banks? It's simple. The decrease in banking secrecy makes it harder for individuals to hide their ill-gotten wealth. With increased transparency, Swiss banks are now less attractive to those looking to stash away black money. Yet, it's not all black and white. While these changes have made a dent, they haven't completely eradicated the problem. The opaque nature of offshore financial transactions and the existence of shell companies still provide avenues for black money to find its way into Swiss. However, it's clear that the tide is turning. the once impenetrable fortress of Swiss banking, which thrived in the shadows, is now being thrust into the limelight. The cloak of secrecy is being slowly lifted, and Swiss banks are becoming more transparent, more accountable. And so the once impenetrable fortress of Swiss banking is slowly opening its doors to global scrutiny. Scene 6. Summing it up, let's recap what our journey today has taught us. We've journeyed from the birth of Swiss banking, immersing ourselves in the historical narrative that formed its charm. We've uncovered the fascinating charm of confidentiality, a fundamental aspect of Swiss banking that has attracted clients from all corners of the world. We've linked the shroud of confidentiality to the rise of so-called black money, scrutinizing the complex connections between Swiss banks and untaxed, undisclosed. Yet, we've also witnessed a transition, a transforming landscape in the realm of banking. Strict rules, international scrutiny, and an increased need for transparency have started to erode the long-standing customs of confidentiality. Swiss banking system is in a state of metamorphosis, and so is its relationship with black money. While the nexus between Swiss banks and black money continues, it's apparent that this intricate relationship is far more than just a stereotype. That's all for today, folks. Remember to keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep pushing your limits. Until next time, take care and be happy. The Swiss bank Enigma, a haven for black money. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe for more related videos like this, like the video which will help to motivate us, and share the video with friends and family.